All right, my name's Hayes Miner. I'm the Chief of Police for the Rogers Police Department. On Sunday, November 9th, 1997, the Rogers Police Department began an investigation into the rape of a school teacher while she was working at a local elementary school that morning. The investigation revealed that the teacher routinely went to the school on Sunday mornings to work in preparation for the coming week. At the time, a local church congregation was meeting in the cafeteria of the school, and the teacher routinely worked with a co-teacher on Sunday mornings. On this particular morning, the victim worked alone in her assigned classroom. At approximately 11:30 a.m., the victim left her classroom to use the restroom. As she left the restroom a few minutes later, she was confronted by a male suspect holding a gun, wearing sunglasses and a stocking cap. The suspect ordered her back into the bathroom at gunpoint and proceeded to sexually assault her. At one point during the assault, the suspect moved the victim from the restroom to a nearby classroom where the assault continued. Following the assault, the suspect fled the scene and the victim called 911. Responding officers began an immediate search for the suspect, but were unable to locate a person matching that description. Detectives of the Rogers Police Department began in their investigation into this crime and have continued the investigation for the last 20 years. Following submission of multiple items of evidence to the Arkansas State Crime Lab, a DNA profile of the suspect was developed. RPD investigators noted that the suspect went to great lengths to conceal his identity and not leave any trace evidence behind. We fully credit the victim's quick thinking during the assault as the lone reason we were able to obtain a suspect DNA sample. The suspect description that was widely distributed at the time of the initial investigation was noted as follows: a white male between the ages of 20 and 30 years old. The suspect was unshaven, appeared to have reddish blonde facial hair. Suspect was believed to be between 5'6" and 5'9" tall. He was described as having a beer belly but not overweight. The victim noted the suspect had a wide, flat nose. After the crime lab was able to develop the suspect DNA profile, it was checked against profiles in the state's known offender files as well as other states' files. As the science and knowledge of DNA expanded, the sample was ultimately checked against profiles across the country through the CODIS, or the Combined DNA Index System. The suspect profile from this case stayed in the system and was checked against all incoming profiles, both known and unknown, through the years. In the years since the beginning of the investigation, detectives continued to follow up on leads that were received by the department. In November of 2003, RPD detectives worked with the Benton County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and the Arkansas State Crime Lab and used the suspect DNA profile to obtain the state's first ever John Doe warrant based on a DNA profile. The arrest warrant lists the charges of kidnapping and rape, both of which are felonies. This warrant has remained active until today. When it was served on Grant Harden, a white male from Benton County currently serving a 30-year prison term for first-degree murder. RPD detectives received word from the Arkansas State Crime Lab on January 29th that Harden's DNA profile matched the suspect profile for this case. Harden was picked up from the Arkansas Department of Corrections earlier today, returned to the Rogers Police Department, where the warrant was served on him, and he was processed. He will be housed at the Benton County Jail for his first court appearance, which will take place later today. RPD would like to thank, first and foremost, the victim in this case for standing beside us and never giving up after 20 years. We'd also like to thank Kermit Channel and his staff at the Arkansas State Crime Lab for working with us over the years to make sure that we left no stone unturned. The Benton County Prosecuting Attorney's Office has also been involved in this case since day one. We thank them as well as other law enforcement agencies across the state who have assisted with this investigation over the years. As the Chief of Rogers Police Department, I extend my sincere thanks to the hardworking men and women of the Rogers Police Department who have continued this investigation over the years. Through their work, it is our hope that the victim in this case finds justice. Nathan.
Thank you, Chief. I just wanted to be here today. I know it's sometimes can be hard to brag on your own agency, but I just wanted to be here today to say how thankful that I am, and I know the citizens in Benton County are, for the work that Chief Minor and the men and women of the Rogers Police Department have done. There are not many 20-year-old cold cases that are solved. There just aren't. And I think when you look at the efforts of the Rogers Police Department to continue working it, they were tenacious. They never gave up on it. They brought in, other folks, other agencies to look at it and help them. And I think you can see from the chief today, the focus of the Rogers Police Department has been solely on the victim, on solving this for her and gaining justice for her. And certainly the arrest of Mr. Harden today is a huge step in that direction. So I just wanted you to know, and the men and women in the back here, how thankful that we all are for what you all have done. I think this is a tremendous day for your department and the people of Rogers and Benton County. I do want to point out that like any other arrested suspect, any other defendant, Mr. Harden is innocent until proven guilty. He will have a legal process that will take place in this case. What will happen now is he'll have a bond hearing this afternoon in Division I of Benton County Circuit Court. He'll have an arraignment set at some point in the future, I would imagine in the next several weeks, and we'll decide before his first arraignment what charges to file and begin the court proceedings. So that's how it's going to progress from a legal standpoint. I do again just want to thank the chief and the men and women of the Rogers Police Department for the hard work that you've done, because today is a fantastic day for the Rogers Police Department and for justice as well. So I appreciate everything you all have done here.
Thank you very much. We'll have copies of the statement that I read here for everybody. We've also got a photograph, or a couple photographs actually. One being a booking photo of Grant Harden that was taken about 3 weeks prior to this rape at the school. It was taken by the Rogers Police Department on, I believe, October 16th of 1997. He was arrested just on an FTA warrant for a traffic ticket, so we'll make this available for you. We've also got a picture of the composite that was done by our victim the day of this assault. We'll leave these up here for you as well, and we'll answer a few questions to the best of our ability at this time, if anybody has any.
And when you say Grant Harden, that's the former Gateway Police.
Correct. It is.
Have you? Sorry, go ahead.
Do you suspect, you ran the DNA obviously when he was booked in on that charge, do you suspect any other unsolved cases to be linked to Mr. Harden?
Well, the way my understanding of the CODIS system works, it's much like the automated fingerprint identification system, but it's just for DNA. A known or an unknown sample is entered into the system and it's checked against everything in there. So it's either matched with another known suspect or it's in a match to an unknown. And if it's unknown, it goes into a separate working pool, much the same as our DNA profile did on this case, where it sits until a match is found. 20 years.
Have you been in contact with the victim?
We have, yes.
Throughout your investigation, was Mr. Harden ever brought up as a suspect? Was he known to y'all that this could have been?
No, this is a voluminous case file. By far, the biggest that I've seen since working here. It's huge. I'm not going to say that he's never mentioned in that file, but in the 2 weeks that we've had this information, we've been unable to locate his name in that file.
And have you been able to find out why he was in the school that day? Was he attending the church, or did he just happen to be at the school?
We don't know that.
Have you been able to question Mr. Harden since the DNA?
He was brought up from the Department of Corrections today and given an opportunity to make a statement.
And how does it feel for you of being police chief, where it's at right now after 21 years?
Well, proud. Wow. Thankful, both for our victim, who many of us know at the time this happened. It's not a secret that she was married to a Rogers police officer at the time that this happened. Relief. relief. I'm glad that we did this for her, first and foremost. God, this is where you want to find yourself in front of a bunch of TV cameras, right? This case was kept alive by her, by the people in the back of the room, by the prosecutor's office, the public. And I think that it just shows what teamwork can do. Technology obviously played a huge role in this case. And I'm extremely thankful, as I said, to the staff at the crime lab. They took our calls over and over and over, and they rechecked and they rechecked and they rechecked. And they did it without complaint. And we relied heavily on them to make sure that everything that could possibly be checked was checked. And we got the information that we needed finally.
And does this send a message to any other victims who have had this happen that justice may be served, may take a while, but...
Certainly. I mean, it's frustrating. And, we see it every day from this side of it. But so many times we're not affected personally. And, this really drove home, for me personally, the impact that a crime like this can have on a person, a family. So, yeah, I think that it's great for the victim first and foremost, but it's good for all victims everywhere to say that, there's hope. There is, that something can come up years later. We've had a lot of frustration with this, worry that we missed something, concern over not being able to give her the answers that she deserves, and time was on our side.
For the last 21 years, was this case a priority for the department?
It was. It was always open, never closed. Throughout the last 20 years, we would, CID would basically shut down for a week, minus, barring any significant crimes happening at that time. And they'd run the entire division, would run the entire case file. And we'd take a look at the whole thing from the ground up. And we've done that with other cases as well. The media has helped us in the past, running some stories for us. I think the last big push we did on this was in 2014. We did a story, pushed it out. It was actually very beneficial to us at that time because we did get some people that called in and gave us names and information. And even though none of those turned out to be, our suspect, we were able to clear them off the books and show that they weren't. So, 20 years, wow.
Chief, can you talk a little bit about the John Doe warrant? You said that was the first in the state of Arkansas. That's a really revolutionary way to be able to prosecute.
Yeah, it was at the time. And worked with Nathan's predecessor on that. And back then, and don't quote me on the timeline about this, because the law was changing in 2001 to 2003 on the statute of limitation for rape. This wasn't an RPD idea. Frankly, we stole this from, I think, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where they were running into a lot of problems prosecuting rape suspects after the state statute of limitations. So they started getting these John Doe DNA warrants to keep the case alive. And as we approached the 6-year mark on this case, while there was some change in the law, it wasn't tested through the courts yet. So to preserve the prosecution, the prosecuting attorney's office and us felt like the best course for us to take on this was to obtain a warrant based on the suspect's DNA profile. Nathan may want to talk to this a little bit, but once a warrant is obtained, it's incumbent upon us to find that person and to show that we have continued to look for that individual. And frankly, in this case, every day, this DNA profile was checked against hundreds of other DNA profiles that were coming into the system. So I look at this as us looking every single day since 2003 for this DNA profile, and we hit it 2 weeks ago.
What were the emotions when you heard?
You already saw my emotions. I don't think I need to go into that anymore. I was on my way to Nashville. Lieutenant Dave Jones called me. Relief. I mean, I'll just go back to that. And enough with the emotion questions, good Lord. It's a good day. It's a good day for her.
When was she notified?
That day. That day.
Have you been able to determine any motive at this point?
No. I mean, well, no.
You yet to know whether she ran away?
At this point, there's nothing indicating that. I'll reserve that for future. You know, that could change. All right. Anything else? Anything else? All right. Thank you all for being here. It's a great day for our victim in this case. It's a great day for the men and women of the police department who kept this thing alive. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you.